Hello, everybody. This is Train for Longevity podcast, episode number 4. I am your host, K-Rail, and today we are telling the show Throwing Down with Ori. And you're going to know why in about 10 seconds after I do a couple announcements. The Ori I'm referring to is none other than Ori Hofmekler. So we're going to circle back with him in a minute. But first, I have a few things I'd like to say. If you're in need of a physical reset, then it's time for you to get your buns out to Colorado for the next Precision Fitcation, which is going down in July. You'll learn how to hike, work out, eat great food, breathe clean, crisp mountain air, and just completely reset your whole mind and body. You can check out all the details on the Pine Pollen Superfoods calendar on their website. And speaking of Pine Pollen Superfoods, stop wasting your time and your hard-earned money on supplements such as pre-workouts, protein powders, and all these different formulas that have a bunch of synthetic and artificial ingredients in them. Hit yourself up with some good Pine Pollen Superfoods, all natural supplements. You can get all the details on their website as well. And since I'm in a good mood and I'm in a giving mood, you can punch in the code POLLEN10, all in capital letters, Pollen and then 10, for a 10% discount on your next order. Tell them I sent you, K-Rail. Okay, now let's get down to business. It is my great pleasure to have none other than Ori Hofmekler on the show today. We're going to throw down and talk smack about a lot of very important issues that are going on in the health and fitness industry right now. And we're going to talk about his take on a lot of things. And one of the things I love about Ori is his ability to think outside the box, live outside the box, and always come up with really cool, interesting information that's going to enable you to live and breathe a better and more healthy lifestyle. If you're not familiar with Ori, I'm going to show you this book right here that I have called The Warrior Diet. I'm sure you've heard of this. It's a very good book. It was a bestseller. And he goes into detail about his take on fasting and how to incorporate proper dietary habits in your life to excel. He's also the author of several other books. One is called The Anti-Estrogenic Diet, Maximum Muscle, Minimum Fat, and another book that he's just releasing now called The 7 Principles of Stress, which we are going to discuss. So without any further ado, Ori, go ahead and take the floor, give a little bit more background about yourself, and let's get right down to the 7 Principles of Stress, because I'm dying to know what you have to say about that.
It will help if we'll be just more specific, of course. The Warrior Diet was written close to 20 years ago. It was the first book that introduced to the world the concept of intermittent fasting. In fact, before I wrote The Warrior Diet, there was no intermittent fasting. And only 2 years after I wrote the book and introduced this concept in practice, the first studies on intermittent fasting were done by the NIH under the guidance of Professor Mark Mattson, who then called it intermittent fasting. But interesting, he'd used my book as a reference, including his famous article that came after the studies in the medical journal, the British medical journal Lancet. So when I came with the concept of intermittent fasting, it was considered dietary blasphemy. In fact, I was accused as a guy who committed dietary heresy for asking people not to eat breakfast, that it's the worst meal of the day. And the idea that you need to undereat or not eat for most of the day was an absolutely no by mainstream nutrition 20 years ago. Apparently, after the studies, the book started to get more and more credit for the concept, which again did not exist before. Now, every Joe Schmo is jumping on the wagon of intermittent fasting, and they call it different name. It's every other day fasting, 3-day fasting a week, 3 days overeating, etc., etc. Right. In my books, and especially the last book, not just The Warrior Diet, The 7 Principles of Stress, I explain the science and the details why proper intermittent fasting should be on one main meal a day, not every other day, not every 2 days. Why it's the one main meal a day that will benefit you most, and especially in long term when you think about the impact of keeping your body young, resilient to stress, and especially resilient to the aging process. It's the one main meal a day, like most other things that we do around the circadian clock. Right. That needs to be done. I'm ready to argue that. I'm ready to explain. But before we go on, I want to give you a few words about my new book, The 7 Principles of Stress. This is not just an academic book that explains you 7 principles of how to handle stress. It's a survival book. The book really explained to you at what threshold stress can actually not only be beneficial for you, it can save your life, it can extend your life. How essential stress is for you, not can be, is for you, and how to take advantage, and also how detrimental and deadly stress can be for you if you don't understand how to take advantage of it. That's what the book is about. It can show you how the same stress that can absolutely demolish you, especially chronic stress, can extremely benefit you by all means, make you more fit, make you more lean, make you more smarter, make you a better survivor, and make you live longer.
Well, I think with everything, there's a good and bad road, and there's an extreme you can go in one direction or the other. And if done correctly, I mean, intermittent fasting can be awesome, but stress, you kind of need stress in order to build muscle, in order to maintain muscle and everything else. In order to play a game, a sport, anything like that, there's a lot of stress involved. There's good stress and bad stress. But if you don't have a little bit of stress, you're not going to have any ambition to do anything. So there's a two-way side to everything, really.
You're absolutely right, but the science is even more precise. There is something which is called biological stress. All your genes are programmed for that. You don't even have the choice of not stressing yourself, because if you don't, you basically will degrade yourself. It's just, I hate to compare human to machine, but if your machine is programmed for certain kind of activity, you can't leave it dormant. Even a car that doesn't drive, somebody needs to open the engine for a while. But with biological system, it's much more than that. Stress is inherent to the design. But if you cross a certain kind of threshold, especially a time threshold, so the same stress that have shown and proven to be so beneficial for you can become detrimental. Detriment can destroy you, and many people today don't know that. For instance, exercise. As you age, you must actually adjust the volume of your exercise, the period of your workout. Not so much the intensity as far as the volume. It is very important, because when you cross a certain threshold at any age, you are going to put yourself in a state of chronic stress. And that will affect your rate of aging and lifespan. I don't know if I mentioned to you or if you saw in my book, there is a research that shows, it's a stunning research, that elite competitive endurance athletes, really specimen, from marathon runner to long distance skiers and triathlons, those that the champion, the competitive athlete, the specimen, their lifespan is as short as couch potatoes, as sedentary people. How come the fittest people among us live as short as the unfittest? It's unacceptable to our logic. The reason? It has to do with the fact that competitive athletes often extend the threshold of their activity. And that can have a detrimental effect on their biological fitness. Biological fitness, Kevin, K, right?
Yes.
Biological fitness is not the typical fitness that we talk about. This is not what you read in the internet or fitness magazine. It's a total different term. While regular fitness, regular fitness is about muscle gain, performance, how fast you run, how fast can you jump, how much can you lift. Biological fitness is about your ability to survive and resist stress and aging. Resist aging is a key element. If you are a specimen with big muscle and ability to perform, you're not just big muscle, you're not just a bodybuilder, you are really powerful. But your body is not programmed to live long. You're not biologically fit. Have you been living 10,000 years ago? You may be subject to natural selection much faster than you think. The fact that you can fight or flee for a few minutes or hours at a time does not make you biologically fit. To be biologically fit, your body needs to receive continuous program to basically activate the genes,
Yes.
there are 2 or 3 pathway, longevity pathway, that make you live long and resist aging. And this manifests itself in every organ of your body. But because fitness today is associated with muscle, we can talk about the muscle for a minute.
Yeah, let's talk about the muscle. But before we get there, I absolutely love the term you're using, biological fitness. I use the word biological age often with people and say that you have like a physical age and a biological age depending on how well you take care of yourself and your body. But I see biological fitness becoming a new buzzword, and we can credit it to you because it sounds really cool and hip, but there's scientific backing to this. And I think that's a very good point. As we age, it seems like you were saying, on the internet, people resort to like Instagram and Facebook and all these media channels and YouTube to watch videos and stuff for being 50 plus years old, etc., and trying to do like these hardcore, high intensity exercises, thinking they're doing the best they can for the body, but really they're probably just overtaxing their endocrine system, and they're going to be progressing the aging process along. However, at the same time, I have noticed in the health and fitness industry that anti-aging is the big buzzword as well right now. So I think biological fitness ties in perfectly with anti-aging at the same time for all those people who are just in it to stay healthy and to live longer and to live healthier for a longer span of time as well. So you summed it up really well there. And I'm dying to know, I'm probably going to buy that book as soon as I get off the air with you today because it sounds interesting already.
I want to get a little bit to the detail just to give an example what it is.
Okay.
Okay, you can build big muscle and you'll get stronger. You'll get muscle mass, you get bigger, large muscle fiber. You may even convert and create larger type 2B muscle. You basically becoming stronger and you may look good on the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
That does not mean that you improve the muscle quality, muscle fiber quality, and it doesn't mean that this muscle will keep itself this way because 10 years from now it may become a prune, not a muscle. You understand? Yeah. You see it in all bodybuilders, the wrinkly prune muscle. Mm-hmm. Now, there is a way to develop, that's the right word, to develop a muscle and make it resilient to aging. It involves different genes. It's not the myosin heavy chain gene that builds your muscle mass. It's the myosin heavy chain that convert your muscle from type 2B to type 2AX. That's a muscle that actually equivalent to muscle the gorilla has. It's a different kind of muscle fiber.
Wow, this is fascinating. I love this.
Muscle, in my book, it's called the super muscle fiber that most people do not convert, but we have the program. But to be more specific, okay, when you are working on anti-aging, you want to make sure that beside keeping your hormone in balance, you put your body, you activate a system, it's called a stress response system that basically responsible not only to keep you resilient to stress, to rejuvenate, keep you resilient to aging by rejuvenating the tissue. Specifically on the muscle, what it does, it basically releases certain kind of transcription factors or certain kind of genes that increase the mitochondria density in your muscle. As it also increases the energy efficiency utilization, so there is less corrosion as you exercise. Most of the oxidative stress that happen in the muscle and the body come during energy production in the mitochondria. So imagine yourself a superhuman mitochondria that is resistant to oxidative stress, and actually it seeds itself maybe 2 or 3 times more than exists normally. Now, a person can be lean as yourself, not a bulky bodybuilder, a lean person, lean and healthy, but the muscle fiber, which you look lean, especially when you dress, contain 3 times more capacity to utilize energy, and the 2 fuels, not only carb fuel like the fast type 2B, both carb and fat fuel. And that's the last thing I want to say. So besides changing the composition of the fast muscle, now the fast muscle can easily utilize fat fuel. It is in all biological system of all animals, especially mammals. The shift from carbohydrate to fat fuel equal longevity. If your body cannot shift from carb to fat fuel, you will never have a chance to reach peak longevity the way you are.
Wow, that's mind-blowing right there.
Our muscle have this program too. A biologically fit muscle can use fat triglyceride storage in the muscle. It sounds absurd to perform, in fact, better than even the glycogen. And there is a evolutionary reason for that advantage, because let's say, Kate, that you're running out there fighting out 10,000 years ago and some beast or human running after you. After a while, you're going to deplete your glycogen. What then? Are you going to hit the wall and lie down? Or you're going to keep on trucking? That means the gear to shift now from carb to fat fuel. Have you been having the muscular capacity to utilize fat fuel, which is extremely beneficial in many other ways? You will be able to never hit a wall. You will be able to keep performing on a very high energy gear without even destroying the muscle. You will be able to save your life and survive a classical fight or flight activity as I survived. But 10 years from now, 20, 30, 50, or 60, or 80 years from now, okay, if you manage to do it right, you will look pretty much the same. Maybe the hair is more white, pretty much the same. And this is not something, at least theoretically, it's viable. Your muscle keep improving because the gene that allow it to degrade is out. Your whole body is now supported on a smart technology that the human species never had a chance to fully activate. We were born or created by God in a system which is divine. We don't understand it, the vast majority, so we never gave it a chance. And you're right, you're against protein shakes. Me too. I converted to the other side. We do not use our saliva. We are missing a very important program in our longevity and chance for efficient utilization of nutrient. We never evolved for liquid food. Except for some juices, we just never evolved. That's a subject by itself. It's a separate discussion by itself.
Yeah, that's a whole other podcast.
Other thing. But my point is, we need to understand how we are programmed to better survive, not just to hang in on there. How better survive? What is the real meaning of fitness, biological fitness? What do we need to do to be biologically fit and look great 30, 50, or 80 years from now? Honestly. Well, yeah, I know it sounds deep belief, but when I came with the intermittent fasting, it also sounded too crazy to be true, but it's true. Maybe for me, it's a bit too late, okay? But the knowledge needs to be out there.
Yeah.
And it's possible.
I don't feel it's ever too late to make changes or to get yourself in as good a shape as you possibly can with what you have to work with at the very least. And I feel this is a good segue to go a little deeper into the other aspect of what this biological fitness has in store, which is what is your recommendation as far as food is concerned to get into this perfect spot for the anti-aging and also for hormone optimization as well. So all that kind of ties together. It's like a holistic thing. I feel like there's some people who work out 7 days a week and then they go and they drink beer and go to the Chinese buffet after their workouts and they justify their eating habits by saying, oh, I work out enough, I can eat what I want. Then there's the other people that go the other side who eat relatively healthy, don't work out at all, and they walk their dog every day and they say, oh, I eat healthy, I'm good. It's all fine and dandy, but it's not. There needs to be a balance. And if you want optimal health and you really want to reverse the aging process, and when we say the word reverse the aging process, that's a big sentence right there. It's a big frame, it's a big phrase, and it's a tall order. So you really have to be disciplined to get there. But once you start developing daily practices and integrating things into your life, just like you point out well in the warrior diet, of weaning your way into it nice and slow, your body adapts to it, you start feeling better, you start having more energy, you start losing weight, everything starts falling into place. Slowly and truly, you get to a good solid point, and then it's easy to maintain it once you get there. But we both know, Ori and I, that it does take a whole balanced approach of synergy to make that happen. So let's dig a little deeper into what you feel is kind of like a good dietary approach, and what can be done for best hormone optimization in this whole picture as well.
Let's put it like this. I want to throw one maybe bombshell, and then I'll start talking about the nutrition and exercise and hormonal optimization.
Okay, fire away.
It's simple. We were trained to believe, that's what we were told, that energy is a key to our survival, and the more the better. We need energy. We need energy, so there are so many energy products, and they even calculate what food give you more energy before exercise, after exercise, recuperation. Like, the truth in biology is exactly the opposite. Yes, energy is a critical factor, but it's the depletion of energy which is the key factor, not the energy loading. It's the depletion of energy that trigger longevity. It's the depletion of energy that trigger the genes that make you live longer, and also trigger your muscle to develop biologically, okay? It's the depletion, not the loading. The loading is for growth. The depletion is for the trigger of the awesome mechanism and the process I just discussed. Now, we live today in a world that easily make billions of dollars on providing energy, on boosting energy. People, it is so simple to buy because we also have mechanism in the brain that make us enjoy the primitive hedonic pleasure of eating high energy food like sweets, cookies, cakes, whatever it is.
Yes.
Okay, chocolates, ice cream. But in biology, it's the opposite. This is why, one of the reasons why fasting and exercise are so beneficial for you. Beside mechanical stress, they deplete energy. And when you combine them together, okay, when you combine them, exercise while empty, you got a triple impact, no double impact. Because the body immediately get the glycogen depletion, signal of survival, all the heat shock proteins. It's a key stress response mechanism. Heat shock protein raising in, start to be released. 300 protein now are circulating in your system to search and destroy every weak and sick animal element in your cell and circulation. So if you have pro-cancerous cells or sick cells or derbies, they will seek and destroy it. How many people are lucky enough to release this system every day? Very little, because we constantly eat.
Yes, we eat. We drink, we shovel down energy drinks, we eat supplements all day long. I get it. You're speaking to the choir. I've been working out in a fasted state for 20 plus years, ever since I was like high school. I started digging deep into that and figured out there's something behind it. And I feel that exactly what you're saying, you put it into really good perspective. And what you're describing is autophagy. So when your body is getting rid of all the scavenger cells and flushing them out due to energy reduction or depletion of your body, and that's basically called autophagy. And I've been working out fasted for so long, it's not even funny. People look at me like I'm nuts. People are slamming down their C4, those noxious C4 drinks and stuff before workouts. They're bright blue. I can smell them across the gym. I start sneezing when I see them and smell them. And I'm like, you're right. We've become a nation of people that just can't go like 2 hours without eating or drinking something. It's constant all day.
Farm animals, constantly. Farm animals. We're not free animals anymore. But we does not include the one people like you and me and many others who decide to take their life in the hand and follow the right regimen. Science and understanding and knowledge is critical here. Now, let's go further with this. Hormonal balance, what kind of food? In my book, The 7 Principles of Stress, I show critical nutrients. It's a group of nutrients that fell under the radar. We call it SAF, S-A-F, stress-activated food. There are certain kind of nutrients that apparently were very abundant in the early food chain of the early humans, which hardly exist anymore. Their function, they are not necessarily antioxidant, are not necessarily vitamins or minerals. Their function is to trigger your longevity gene. Their function is to mimic the effect of exercise on your body 24 hours a day. Whatever benefit you have for the 1 hour or 30 minutes exercise that you do, imagine yourself the benefits circulating in your system, not an hour or two later, 24 hours a day. We evolved for a diet that was supreme. There are certain nutrients. They are mostly belong to the polyphenol or phenols area, but some of them are alkaloid. Actually, some of the stronger ones are alkaloids or a certain kind of acid, which exist, unfortunately, not in the regular food, but in what we consider to be dietary weights, pits, peels, rice rhizomes, and roots that we hardly, even in the earth, they exist. So early humans used to eat anything edible. They didn't throw away. Up to now, traditional, like Chinese medicine, still use a lot of rhizome and bark of trees, etc. The reason is that animals, including carnivores, are very attracted to this nutrient. If you have a dog, you can see he will dig into the earth. He will eat grass.
Yes.
While the carnivores, sorry, we rescue dogs and cats. My cats and dogs like to eat grass. Now, why is carnivores animals are so desperate to eat this vegetarian product? Because that's what the soft nutrients are. They are programmed to search for that. We, with the modern diet, eliminated it. So what's interesting about this nutrient, they just do not mimic the effect of exercise. They basically activate the genes. We talked about longevity gene. They help you shift from carb to fat fuel. They keep you lean and they make you live long. And you're supposed to have them every day. I did the Staff Project research 5 years ago. We still have, we try to source the most powerful nutrient. It's available at Amazon at Defense Nutrition, our store, Defense Nutrition, SAF, S-A-F. But you can see the science behind is amazing. Mm-hmm. That lead me now to your question about hormones.
Yes.
Look, it's not just, okay, what's my level of testosterone? What's my level of growth hormone? That is a question that if we are human, we like reduce ourselves to the level of a pancake or a waffle. Listen, pancake or waffle have a lifespan of maybe a few minutes before you destroy them. And if you can freeze them, maybe a little bit more, but that's it. Yeah. We supposed to live way over 120 years, in my opinion. I believe I prove it in my book. Way, way over. Maybe more than 200. I know it sounds crazy, but there's evidence for that. Now, when you look at your hormones, there's a very interesting phenomenon. It's not just the level of your testosterone. How long can you be virile? How long do your body have the capacity to balance growth hormone and sex hormone to the point that you as a male or you as a female can reproduce, or at least be in potential reproductive state? Many scientists believe, perhaps correctly so, that natural selection consider you viable for survival as long as you can reproduce. That doesn't mean you have to bring baby. You potentially can contribute to the survival of your species. Okay. Now, they found a very interesting phenomena. I believe that one of these guys, Professor Sapolsky, I believe from a researcher in California, wrote some interesting book about it. It has to do with two areas: research on alpha and beta species, that means alpha male, beta male, alpha female, beta female. Very interesting research. Again, we don't have enough time here. Also research about resiliency of species that are resilient to stress, they can resist stress, to the aging, to sexual aging. So there is a very interesting phenomenon here. Species that are generally, it has been established that under stress, reproduction go down, testosterone go down under chronic stress, under intense stress.
Yeah.
Estrogen go down. It's not good time for reproduction when you fight or flee or famine, okay, under fasting. Thyroid even go down. And
Yeah.
you're not supposed to reproduce under stress. And a species, but here's what happened. Species that become resilient to stress because that's a lifestyle, they had to adapt to it. The opposite happened.
Interesting.
The stress hormones do not inhibit now the sex hormones. In fact, they function as a catalyst for the sex hormone. And there was some research still need to be done during Second World War and on society in Northern Europe, like Norway, for instance, and they found out that when the Norwegians were during the war and they were on the brink of starvation, everything was scarce. Cancer almost disappeared. Diabetic almost disappeared. No obesity at all. I mean, they had an incredible potential for longevity, these people, and they reproduce. In fact, the baby boom phenomena happened during the end of the Second World War, when societies, mostly in Europe, start to get adept to the stress of the war. In fact, there was an urge to reproduce on a species under stress to not lose the future generation.
Yeah.
And a species that cannot produce under stress will disappear, basically disappear. And that start to relate, at least in theory, to us as individual. As individual, okay, when you become resilient to stress, I show it in my book and I have the research. When you become resilient to stress, your whole hormonal sex, your sex hormone, especially testosterone and derivatives, the balance is towards reproductivity. Even you're gonna be 80 years old. In fact, they did research on salmon. Salmon is almost like a tragic story. It's a beautiful fish that constantly jump against the river trend. And he reproduced just before he's gonna die because he's gonna be eaten on the top of the river by the bears or whatever he got. But just ahead of that, he still reproduced in the peak that animal reached total exhaustion and everything. Because in the salmon, there was an evolutionary adventure for a stress species to be resilient to the stress hormone. So he can actually more reproduce even under stress. We need to look at ourselves in a very similar way. There's nothing wrong with our hormone. It's going down because we eat wrong, we eat too frequently, we eat the wrong food, and we degrade our system. We put ourselves in chronic stress by not doing nothing or by overdoing things, too much anxiety, too much fear, because we are not living the way we should. Take a rabbit, for instance. If you put a rabbit under eggs or eat meeting, the rabbit will be chronically stressed. It's not designed for that. Or feed a cat only a salad. The cat will be extremely stressed too because it's not designed for that. We are not eating. We are like the cat that eats salad or the cucumbers all the time because we are not these. We are basically not following our biological design. Have we done it? Have we stressed ourselves properly the way we just discussed about the exercise and fasting? Have we have a good low glycemic diet, simple, frugal, and incorporate the nutrient, the soft nutrient that mimic fasting and encourage us to trigger our longevity gene? I believe we will sexually not age. Yes. And the same happened to the brain. There are growth factors, certain brain neurofactors that keep your brain out. There's no reason to get Alzheimer's. There's no reason to, like 95% of people, sooner or later, we get a dementia. No reason for that at all. You should always die. One day we're going to die.
Yeah.
We should die like young people do, from accident, some from overexercise, heat, or cold, but not from aging. And we should die with a young brain, okay, and a good reproductive system.
Yeah.
You don't need to inject hormone. Our body is not designed to lose it so fast unless we make ourselves sick. Look, okay, people think that aging is age-related. Okay, it's called aging, age-related. So as we age, we age.
Yeah, things break down. Your vision gets bad, your joints get bad. People say it all the time and all this stuff. I've always felt you can debunk it, and I always thought you can
According to what proof? According to a proof of society which you're already sick and prone to aging.
Yeah.
Typical. In biology, age is stress related. It is not age related. In fact, it's more stress related than age related. So when you don't build sufficient resiliency to stress, if your body is not biologically fit, if you continue eating the wrong food and too frequently and load energy, obviously the mileage will take over your body.
Yeah.
Mileage is a factor, but it's only one factor. The key factor is resiliency to stress. There is a protocol which I introduced in my book, The 7 Principles of Stress. It's available in Amazon. And anyway, it's a simple protocol. And if you follow it, you're already thousands of steps ahead of most human. It's very simple. You go down to the core of biological program, and you already have the instinct for that. You're doing it already. There are few probably tweak on the nutrition side. I'm ready to talk about some maybe common food that we think are healthy. In my opinion, they are not healthy. We can talk about it. But otherwise, I think you're already in a very good direction. I'm not trying to be vague or whatever, but there are a few steps that can be done to go and make the result incredible.
Well, I'm glad you went to that segue, because that's where I want to go next. And I do think I have a pretty good leg on the competition of life and aging right now as we speak. But I'm a sponge, and I'm always open for tweaking my own game plan and diet, as probably a lot of our listeners are right now. And we're always looking for like the latest cutting edge idea or concept, especially coming from someone who like you, because I respect you and I love all this stuff you're talking about. It's just music to my ears. I have a big grin behind the scenes here as you're talking. So I want to address one thing first. We talked about before we went on air a little bit about you used to eat meat more so, and now you're predominantly plant-based, I understand. I want to know a little bit about that, and then I want you to go into what you were just talking about how you can optimize your own personal diet related to foods that you think are healthy or not so much, or things you might want to add to your diet right now.
Regarding meat, yes, I was a meat eater. I was still, when I was young, still in the army, and after that, I was still believing in the hunter-gatherer theory, especially with men. And I had a beautiful chapter about hunters, and I still admire hunters for their conviction that they believe that they're living off the land, eating the animals. However, later on, I stopped eating meat because of very serious realization. The first one was humanitarian. I really love these animals that are eaten now. I believe that they are intelligent and they shouldn't be killed. And I'm talking about, I had my own experience. I'm talking about lambs and cows and sheep and goats and rabbits. And I have pets, I rescue animals. I can only imagine. We have cats here and dogs, and I know that there are people around the world that eat them too, which is really cruel. So everything is relative. If you look at a cow, it's a very intelligent animal, and so is a goat and sheep. Look at the little lamb, it's cute, even a little pig. I mean, we're not supposed to do it, but that's the moral part. That's the moral part. And I do believe the compassion is very important for human beings, for the spiritual side. On the biological side, it's as severe. Look, the meat that we eat today, you heard it before. It's not exactly the meat that we had 10,000. It's true. The animals today are not as pristine. But then they say, but they are grass-fed animals and they are raised humanely. You can see it in whole food, etc. BS. Let me tell you, these animals are not stupid. They're only gonna be slaughtered. They're only gonna be crowded. And minute before the slaughter, they know what's coming. The stress on them is immense, and that can be not just boom, boom. It could be take days to put them under stress. So and now I'm talking about the biological part, not just the moral part. These animals produce incredibly toxic inflammatory hormones. These are cytokine, like IL-6, TGF, alpha, etc. These hormones are not only inflammatory, they are pro-aging, and they are carcinogenic. There is incredible evidence that certain kind of inflammatory hormone produce transcription factor, especially nuclear factor kappa beta, which is it's behind almost every deadly cancer, etc. Now, what do we eat? Let's take the animal. What you read by FDA is macronutrient. How much protein? How much fat? How much? And iron. Oh, we get iron from it. What you don't read is the inflammatory cytokine, which is extraordinarily high, moving to your body and start to program. Yes, we respond to the inflammatory hormones that we get from the animal. Have no doubt about it. They are bioactive on us. It's like taking little steroid, only that are stress hormones. They make us, they program us to accelerate aging, etc. So the meat that you eat and maybe enjoy, because most of you, the listeners, are innocent, good people, I'm telling you, it's not good for you, regardless if it's grass-fed or not. And the fat in the meat is even worse. The fat contains even higher concentration of this hormone. It's a saturated fat predominantly, which create even more damage. There is already a research that show the adverse or inverse correlation between saturated animal fat and resistance to stress. It's actually inhibit your resistance to stress, and vice versa. Saturated fat, look, I'm talking about typical unsaturated fat from vegetable oil, ideally, let's say hemp oil, the omega-3. This activate PPAR alpha genes, which are the most desirable gene to transform your fat cells to becoming fat burning rather than fat storing. The whole PPAR group, alpha and gamma, is interesting how they convert fat cells to become biologically viable, not storage, not persistent, not stubborn, but viable. So if you ever want to, and believe me, obese, you cannot be living 150 years as an obese person. Not going to happen. You have to live it as a lean person. All the evidence is there. This specific gene, PPAR alpha and gamma, help you reach this biological fitness state. You don't need to kill yourself on crash diet and everything. Just activate the right genes with the right fit. So on FDA back label, the saturated fat and the non-saturated fat will give you the same nutrient, the same calorie. But gene-wise, effective-wise, total opposite direction. One make you non-resilient, intolerant to stress, and perhaps even promote fat gain, especially insulin resistance, because inflammation, inflammatory hormone, and saturated can promote insulin resistance. The other one do the opposite, make you lean, make you insulin resistant, and promote longevity. So for every fat that you eat, an equivalent pescatarian food will be better. Fish have the right composition, especially wild caught fish. It doesn't have the saturated fat, quite the opposite. And so are beans. I'm not like the paleo. I really believe you know how to handle beans is one of the greatest food ever. I'll explain in a few words. And there are other protein food, seeds and nuts. You're not supposed to, you need to know how to combine food. We'll talk about it in a second. However, the vegetarian food will always benefit you more. So my opinion is this: whatever you think, if you're addicted to meat, whatever you choose, at a certain age, and I recommend no more than 30, 35, you've got to start changing your diet. If you don't do it in time, you're going to pay the consequences.
All right. I need to cut you off for 1 second. So you're saying when you reach 30 to 35 years old, you should start shifting your diet more toward a vegetarian diet. And what you're saying is saturated fat is really it really is the evil fat, or it really is the evil substance out there that can cause heart disease, accelerated aging, inflammation, all these things that it was once said to cause before the whole fat is good for you craze started to occur several years ago. Is that what you're saying? Just so, and also you're saying that that increases your risk for diabetes, you're saying too, because I did hear that before, and I just want to know your take on that.
You're right, but I'm talking about saturated fat from animal flesh.
Okay.
because they are
just some animal flesh.
Like coconut oil, I don't agree with the heart association. There is a lot of evidence that coconut oil gives you some benefit, and so is conjugated linolenic acid. The fat in dairy is not as bad for you.
Mm-hmm.
It has component inside that can actually benefit you. If you carry off CLA, which actually very beneficial for your longevity. So it's not in nature, there are a lot of trade-off. But generally say saturated fat, especially for animal flesh, animal storage fat, is extremely bad for you. There's no question. All kind of lard, beef fat, chicken fat, whatever. Fish, good for you. There are also oils that coming from seed. The monounsaturated, no doubt, is good for you. It's also activated PPAR only in the gamma. It's the omega-3 from seed, like hemp, flax, or chia.
Hemp.
That activate the PPAR alpha, which is the ultimate gene that you want to activate. And we talked before about the improvement in the muscle fiber. PPAR alpha, the gene, also activate the PGC1 alpha or PGC transcription factor that increase mitochondria in the muscle. So here we are. We want to build a biologically fit body. We need to be precise with everything that we eat. So I'm saying I'm not like the American Heart Association, IGA, whatever it is. I believe, and I wrote a blog about this, that dairy fat and coconut oil, if you do it, balance it right, can work very well for you. Very well.
I personally love everything you just mentioned. I do like dairy, I like cottage cheese. I make this blend with like a bunch of added things to it. They make it like super nutrient packed. But I absolutely love coconut oil and red palm oil. Those are my two go-tos right there. And I love anything related to hemp, and I love chia seeds too. I add them to like everything that's not nailed to the floor.
I can respect it. We are very similar. We are very similar. It's actually a very well balanced diet because vegetables don't have everything. It's interesting in Jewish mysticism, the Kabbalah.
Yeah.
They believe that milk is a sacred. It's like a blessed food that God created. And when you look at it biologically, it is so true. The composition of milk with all this immunoglycoprotein inside, how it's perfectly designed to sustain a newborn that has no immune system and build it to be a healthy, mature. How it is incredibly viable if you take it from an animal that is not stressed except for nutrition, like grass-fed. These are animals that produce less milk, but superior milk. So you have whey, you have milk, and you have grass-fed cheese. If human today just manage, to stop killing this animal, just let them produce milk. And there were studies already in Europe about it. We would live so much better and so much longer. All that said, I'm saying I think eggs is also a good food.
Okay.
Egg and milk do not contain inflammatory hormones. And it's like objective. You don't get the hormones that in beef in your grass-fed butter. It's just not there.
Yeah.
Pretty much safe. That's why I'm saying, just do your common sense, do your own research, and you can do extremely well even today.
Okay, so to sum up what you were just talked about, let me try to put this into perspective. So you do believe, so your diet basically revolves around no animal flesh for the most part. You do eat eggs, you do eat dairy, and you eat fish. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. That sounds like a solid game plan. I like it. I do something like I said, I'm flexitarian, so I have a little bit of meat here and there, but I do so much fasting that I often eat like 1 or 2 meals a day. I don't do snacking in between. I know in the Warrior Diet, you talk about eating like grazing through the day in your fasting window with like fresh juices and like clean stuff, maybe a little bit of good quality whey protein you talk about in there. I just skip all that together and I just do windows, etc.
The Warrior Diet allow you both options, water fasting and under-eat. The under-eating is very precise. You can only use nutrients of food that complement your fasting. Today, I do believe, I would send you probably another big blog. It's almost like a mini book, which I'm working now, which give you another swing about why certain kind of nutrient we are missing the point, missing a huge potential to be in great shape and live longer. And in my way that I started to incorporate this philosophy that certain kind of nutrient actually benefit fasting more than fasting alone, make it better. And now I'm reshaping this concept, yes. So I do believe that if you have the knowledge how to undereat, it will benefit you much more than water fasting, simply because the impact of the fasting is now accelerated with certain kind of nutrient that will keep elongating it far and beyond the fasting is there. For most people, and I'll finish here, most people, when fasting starts and you start to eat, fasting is gone. Now you're in a state of loading, which is good. Now, Professor Cargill, many years ago, that's a guy who actually, I would say, innovated the ketogenic diet and warned people to not use it as a diet because it was meant to be medicinal diet to prevent strokes and some children.
Epilepsy, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, correct. He talked about the incredible anabolic potential of fasting. It's very interesting. He said that he was concerned, and that guy was a genius. He said, I'm concerned if people fast for 15 days, how anabolic will be the break fast, the point when you break the fast and start to eat. The body, people don't understand, get you into a potential anabolic state when you fast. So if you do it on a daily basis, it's okay. Let's say that you're fasting 8 to 10 or 12 hours. Your meal will be very anabolic. Every protein that you will eat will be utilized in a higher percentage than the common person. So every 70 gram that you eat will most likely, vast majority, be utilized. For another person, they hardly utilize 20%. You understand?
Yeah.
He was concerned that when you go to extreme with the fasting, the anabolic impact will be so strong that it can even cause cancer. But I'm not. Wow. Yeah. First of all, we're not doing 15 days fasting at a time. So this is out of the question. And the second thing is, in my philosophy, the shift's supposed to be easy. So when you do the undereating with the right nutrient, you get all the benefit of the fasting, but the shift to eating is never controversial. Your body gets to anabolic mode in a very controlled way, that there is no crank, there is no.
Yeah.
It's like this. I can't describe it better.
Well, that's the way to do it. Weaning your way in, weaning your way out. I mean, the way I look at it is the longer a fast goes, the less you should eat when you come out of your fast. And you should, if you're doing a 15-day fast, you should have nothing but liquids, in my opinion, when you come back in. Bone broth or something light, something that's very digestible, anything that's fermented, those kind of things. And then slowly, gradually start eating your way back into a normal diet again. And then kind of adopting a principle that you were just talking about. So I do feel the research is solid as a rock when it comes to fasting and when it comes to under eating, like you're talking about too. And I think the body adapts to the restriction, and it compensates by leveling out all the body's systems and the body's hormones, and you're going to have better brain function. Your hunger hormones are going to come down to balance. Your brain is going to function better. Your inflammation is going to be disappearing. I just think there's so many benefits of it. It's not even funny. And if you utilize high quality nutrients like you're talking about in that whole game plan, then that is how you can take the aging process and just throw it out the window and not even think about it.
I totally agree. There's so much evidence. I call it resetting your body. Every time you fight, the body resets itself. Reset, and we need to reset itself. Again, according to Kabbalah, every day is a new creation. Every day you need to recreate yourself. Like you see the sun going down, the sun go up. You've got to recreate yourself. You cannot take yourself for granted. And that's what you do. You have a routine. Every day you wake up, I have to do this, I have to do that, because your body is programmed to recreate itself. For people who don't think that way, they don't recreate themselves, they degrade themselves. There is like a basketball game or football game. You either win or lose. Nobody stay in the middle. You choose where you want to be. Either progress spiritually and physically or spiral down. No mistake. And believe me, you cannot look around and see all these normal people, what they do, because you don't want to be any of them. So if you see these people eating crap or sweets
and wings and cheese fries and slugging beers down with it,
and everything looks so noble. It's also normal today to die when you're before 60 years old. Suddenly drop. People manage to make so much money and career, TV anchors and this and actor, and they suddenly drop dead or they get chronically sick. I mean, why would you agree to be a person that belongs to such a group? I'm not talking to
as good as mine.
I'm talking about people who are ready to be different. To be different, and you will be different. You just need the courage. I'm talking about not you, about your listener. You need the courage to take things into the hand, understand the knowledge, and act upon it. Don't just sit down and talk. Just do it, and you'll see for yourself immediately the difference.
Well, talk is cheap. That is very sage advice, and we're running short on time. I got two quick things I want to go over last. First things first, I want to know, what is your favorite ice cream and what do you do when you want ice cream? And then I want you to review how people can contact you, talk about the projects you're working on right now one last time, and what people need to get from you.
My favorite ice cream is vanilla, and I create my own ice cream. That's a story.
I knew that was going to be the case. How do you make it?
Well, I made it actually from non-fat dry milk, from not skim milk. And you won't believe it tastes like regular ice cream, Ben & Jerry or Haagen. My opinion, I'm not I like it even more. You can eat unlimited amount. It's very high in protein. It's puristine. There is only 2 to 3 ingredients, all whole food based. I also innovated a product that will be the first sugar substitute, all natural, look and function like sugar, all plant-based. Nice. So soon there will be information. I'm using this technology to creating my own stuff. We already doing cookies without sugar and flour. We are doing ice cream without the crap, and they are very enjoyable and very tasty. I'm in a phase now that I believe that people like you and me and many others should concentrate. How do we conquer the junk food chain? Too many people are addicted to that. So there are cheat days in this and that. I'm in a mission now to produce not less unhealthy junk, healthy stuff that look from chocolate to baking good to ice cream, that look like the junk but have no junk at all, only healthy stuff that your body doesn't even know it's junk, it just benefit from that. So that I'm working very hard now, and soon there will be some news about it. That's my response. I like all kind of flavor that are natural. I like banana, I like green tea, ice cream, and I like vanilla. They are my favorite.
Well, that is, I will be paying strict attention to that, because I'm into the same thing. I always try to dabble and make like healthy alternatives to all the regular junk food out there, just for my own benefit. And sometimes I pass them out to friends and stuff. But I will definitely be staying posted on what you got coming up, because that sounds amazing, and I will happily subscribe to that any chance you get. So to wrap up today, give your book a plug, talk about anything you got going on right now, and let people know where they can find you and all that kind of stuff.
Well, people can find our shop with the soft nutrient at Amazon. It's Defense Nutrition at Amazon.com. And my books can be found also at Amazon. The Warrior Diet, the Anti-Estrogenic Diet, and especially the 7 Principles of Stress. Books were published by North Atlantic Books in collaboration with Random House and Penguin, and I hope you enjoy it. You can also reach me at Facebook and Instagram, Ori Hofmekler. I'll be happy to address your questions, and let's talk. And I'm definitely looking forward to see how you incorporate this principle in your life.
Awesome. Ori, thank you so much today. That was an awesome show. I'm so stoked about everything you had to say. On behalf of everybody out there, hopefully you got a great dose of what Ori has to offer. Go check him out. Make sure to get his book. I'm going to order it as soon as I get done with the show here. And to close out, this is Train for Longevity, podcast number 4. And this is Ori Hofmekler that we had on today. And we're called this show Throwing Down with Ori. And as you can see, we threw down a lot today on a lot of subject matter. If you have any comments or questions, hit me up. Hit up Ori. Have a great day. Make sure to go to Pine Pollen Superfoods to get your 10% discount on all their products. Pollen10 is the code, capital letters on the pollen. And make sure to check out the next vacation on the website, which is on the calendar on Pine Pollen Superfoods. Until next time, this is K-Rail. Have a great day and stay healthy, folks.